Hello folks. Today we're going to be working on determining which t-test it is that we would use depending upon the design of the experiment or question that we're trying to answer. So pull out a piece of paper. I'm going to set up a bunch of scenarios and you're going to choose whether or not it should be a dependent t-test or an independent t-test. Dependent t-test is also known as the paired t-test. And believe it or not, this should be fun. We're going to go through a couple of scenarios. I'll pause for a short moment in between the questions and the answers, but if you need to, just hit your pause button in between each slide and you'll see as we get going. So here we go. Let's look at our first scenario. A teacher wanted to compare male and female scores on a science exam. Would that be a paired or dependent t-test? Would that be an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for t-tests? And I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. It is in fact an independent t-test. That is because the scores from the female science exam and the scores from the male science exams are being looked at to see if they are different from each other. So we don't have the same participant in both of the sets of scores. A bartender asks participants to try either his new gin martini cocktail or his new vodka martini cocktail. Each participant rated the taste of one cocktail on a scale of 1 to 10. The bartender wanted to know if one cocktail tasted better than the other. Would that be a paired or dependent t-test? Would this be an independent t-test? Or 3, not suitable for a t-test? I'll go ahead and move forward. Again, it is an independent t-test. And this is because the two groups that we're looking at are the people that looked at the gin martini was one group of participants, and another group of participants tried the vodka martini. So they were not the same participants in each of the categories. So they were independent of each other. Now we have a cook that asked participants to try both her new jalapeno burger recipe and her new barbecue burger recipe. Each participant rated the taste of both burger recipes on a scale of 1 to 10. The cook wanted to know if one recipe tasted better than the other. I'm going to move forward. It is a paired t-test or a dependent t-test. And this is because the same participants that tested burger A, the jalapeno burger, also tested burger B, the barbecue burger. So it's a matched pair. It's the participants are contributing to both categories that we're looking at. Let's move forward. A baker asked participants to try both his double chocolate cupcake and his vanilla cream cupcake. Participants indicated which of the two cupcakes they preferred, favorite or not favorite. The baker wanted to know if one cupcake flavor tasted better than the other. Is that a paired or dependent t-test? Is that an independent t-test, or is it not suitable for t-tests? It is not suitable for t-tests. And this is because when they rated it favorite or not favorite, that's our dependent variable, the rating. But the rating is nominal. So we cannot run a t-test with a nominal dependent variable. We need to have t-tests look at means for they're comparing means. So you need to have an interval or scale measurement for the dependent variable. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Alrighty, let's move on. In a recall study, each participant studied and was then asked to recall both a list of baby girl names and a list of baby boy names. The researcher examined the number of baby names that were correctly recalled to see if the girl names and the boy names had similar recall. Would this be a paired or dependent t-test? Would this be an independent t-test? Or would this be not suitable for a t-test? It is a paired or dependent t-test. This is because they contributed all of the participants contributed to both categories, the baby girl names and the baby boy names. Let's see what our next one is. In a recall study, each participant studied and was asked to recall either a list of baby girl names or a list of baby boy names. The researcher examined the number of baby names that were correctly recalled to see if girl names and boy names had similar recall. So this one is the independent, and that is because people contributed to either the baby girl names or the baby boy names. They only contributed to one of the categories, so of the dependent variable. That's what makes it independent. Are you ready for another one? Come on, this is a pretty good video. Oh, and my dog is now she's scratching at her collar. You can hear it. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go to another one. So a political strategist asked 100 Democrats, 100 Republicans, and 100 independents to watch a campaign commercial for a candidate to be shown on Twitter and rate it on a scale of 1 to 4. She wanted to know if the rating varied by political party. Would this be a paired or dependent t-test? Would this be an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for t-test? Here we go. It's actually not suitable for t-tests, and that's because our independent variable, which is the Democrat, Republican, or independent political party, has 3 levels and not 2. So with t-tests, we only look at 2 different groups. We compare 2 different groups. A researcher asked 200 people to watch the movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. They also asked about previous movie history. The researcher wanted to know if participants who had seen Harry Potter rated Fantastic Beasts differently than those who had not seen Harry Potter. So would this be a paired or dependent t-test? Would this be an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for t-tests? I'm going to move on. This is an independent t-test, or an independent t-test would be appropriate for this. Because one group was the group that had seen Harry Potter, and one group was the group that had not seen Harry Potter for our independent variable. Our independent variable was whether or not they'd seen Harry Potter. The dependent variable was the rating of the Fantastic Beasts and where they find them. Okay, we're just getting going. Let's try this one. A researcher asked 100 people to watch the movie Talladega Nights and rate it on a scale of 1 to 100. The researcher wanted to know if participants who had eaten popcorn liked the movie better than the participants that had eaten nachos. So would this be a paired or dependent t-test, an independent t-test, or not suitable for t-test? Let's look at the answer. It is an independent t-test, and that's because some of the participants, again, the independent variable would be what the participant had eaten. So you either ate popcorn or you ate nachos, unless you're like me when you go to the movies, you eat them both. No, but this one was whether or not the participant ate popcorn or whether or not the participant ate nachos. They were in one of those categories for the independent variable, with the dependent variable being the rating of Talladega Nights, which, if you haven't seen that movie, it's kind of funny. Not the classiest movie you'd ever see, but kind of funny. Okay, a professor asked students to read the book The Nordic Theory of Everything and give it either a positive or a negative rating. The professor wanted to know if the grade level of a student influenced the ratings. So would this be a paired or dependent t-test? Would this be an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for t-tests? And just on a side note, if you have not read this book, it is an excellent book. It's very interesting. It really makes you think. But let's see how the t-test turned out. Let me go forward. So it's actually not suitable for a t-test. We have a few problems with this one. The dependent variable, which was the positive or negative rating, is actually nominal. So that is not great. And the independent variable, although it is categorical, it has more than 2 levels. That's the grade level. And so we've got typically 4, maybe 5 if we're adding 5th years. That's also not appropriate for a t-test. So this is not at all good for a t-test. But again, the book is an excellent read. A well-known fast food chain asked 50 participants to sample a classic French fry and determine how much they would be willing to pay for a large order. Another 50 participants sampled a curly fry and determined how much they would pay for a large order. Is there a difference in prices they would pay for a large order? This is what we're trying to find out. Would we use a paired samples t-test or a dependent t-test? Would we use an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for a t-test? Let's look at the answer. It is an independent t-test. Awesome. So who got that right? Yay! It's an independent t-test because 50 people sampled one, 50 people sampled the other. So the participants that contributed to each of the categories, whether it be the classic French fry or the curly fry, are not the same participants. A well-known fast food chain asked 100 participants to sample one of 2 tacos and indicate how much they would spend for a 3-taco platter with rice and beans. Some of the participants liked the first taco so much, they sampled and priced both taco options. So, would that be a paired or dependent t-test? Would that be an independent t-test? Or would this be not suitable for t-tests? Let's move forward. And it is not suitable for t-tests. So when you're running an experiment, participants either need to sample both of the tacos. All of the participants either need to sample both of the tacos or just one taco. You can't have some in both categories and some not in both categories. That's kind of a combination of an independent and dependent, and it just doesn't work that way. But I can tell you at this point, after we've learned about cupcakes, tacos, cocktails, what else have we had? French fries and burgers. I'm starting to get a little hungry. I don't know about anyone else, but yeah, it's starting to happen. Okay, let's move forward. A Japanese restaurant and with more food. Apparently I was really hungry when I made this slide set as well. A Japanese restaurant asked 75 participants to sample 2 different sushi rolls and rate how likely they are to tell a friend about the sushi roll. Each participant tasted and rated both sushi rolls. And that is a paired or dependent t-test. That is because the ratings for both of the sushi rolls came from the same participants. Let's see, do we have one more? We do. Let's keep going. So there was a sleep study that wanted to research the effects of sleep deprivation on reading comprehension. 65 participants were kept awake for 15 hours and then given something to read, followed by a quick test on the reading. After a week of normal sleep, the same 65 participants were kept awake for 24 hours and then given something to read, followed by a quick test on the reading. If we wanted to know the difference in their reading comprehension between the first lack of sleep and the second lack of sleep, would we be using a paired or dependent t-test? Would we be using an independent t-test? Or is this not suitable for t-tests? Let's look at the answer. And it is a paired or dependent t-test. And that is because it's the same 65, sorry, got tongue-tied there. That is the same 65 participants that were in both of the categories, both of the lack of sleep categories, both the 15-hour and the 24-hour condition. So, how's this going? Are you guys starting to get this? Awesome. Okay, let's keep going. A 5th grade teacher wanted to test the effects of time of day on vocabulary retention. He gave students in his morning and his afternoon classes the same quiz, then compared the scores. Would this be a paired or dependent t-test, an independent t-test, or not suitable for t-tests? Let me go to the next slide. It is independent. And the reason it's independent is that anyone can tell me, but the reason that it's independent is because the students in the morning are not the same participants as the students in the afternoon. We're looking at two different sample populations contributing to the scores, so they are independent of each other. It is an independent samples t-test. That is all I have for you. I hope this helped a little bit. I think just to kind of stop and think about where data is coming from helps a lot when we're thinking about which t-test to use and thinking about what our independent and dependent variables are. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.